Alright, my beautiful baldies, we're back with One Punch Man chapter 182, and in this chapter, the battle between Saitama and Tatsumaki finally wraps up. Definitely dragged on a little bit too long. We get some great character progression here from Tatsumaki and Saitama and Fubuki, a cameo from Blast, and much more. That's coming up right after this. This video is brought to you by Immortal Rising, a dark fantasy idle action RPG. You'll play as the immortal hero, using your weaponry and magic to destroy demons, traverse through the world, and earn rewards for your conquests. There's limitless progression to the game, so you can continue to power up forever, both online and offline. Immortal Rising has a unique style. The characters are mostly silhouettes, and to be honest, I've never really seen something like this, but it's fun. The gameplay is smooth and it just feels good when you slice up giant enemies with your hero. You can farm various goods, combine your skills and equipment to strategically utilize the skill system, and even join a guild for some good old-fashioned PvP. You can start playing Immortal Rising right now for free by clicking on the link in the description. This will give you access to the exciting pre-registration special event, which won't last forever, so download Immortal Rising today. Starting off with the cover page here, chapter 182, Unascertained, with Saitama and Tatsumaki on the cover. Saitama with his noodle sauce t-shirt. Really cool looking cover, love this, and I also love that this mini arc is finally wrapped up. Not that I hated it or anything like that, I just think it dragged on a little bit too long. Specifically, like Saitama, he does throw one punch in this chapter, but not at Tatsumaki. I kind of wish he did. At least blew her away with a wave. So we see that in the Hero Association, the battle between Saitama and Tatsumaki is having pretty cataclysmic damage in the surrounding area. The energy levels are off the charts. This is two major titans of the series going up against each other. And we also see that in this Hero Association living quarters area, Forte is looking out the window at all the rumbling, thinking maybe I have to go out there and fight some monsters, and Saitama just lands on the wall right next to him, clinging onto it like Spider-Man. Saitama remembers that they had a little tuffle, Forte and Saitama, the last time they met. Forte challenged Saitama to a fight and then got hit by a car. So Saitama just blasts off the wall and dives directly into Tatsumaki's full power tornado storm. Forte thinking, guess the rematch can wait. We see Tatsumaki chasing after Saitama, and she's covered in sweat. And she says that, darn it, I ended up getting carried away and miscalculated my output limits. Saitama's achieved what he wanted to achieve, is just tucker her out. Just wear her out, and he's been pretty successful in doing so. By the way, pay attention to the hilarious expressions and models of Saitama and Tatsumaki in this chapter. There's a lot of really fun drawings of both of them, both cool and comical. And as always, that's one of the best things about One Punch Man is the character models are loose, and Murata is just an expert at being able to depict the same character in so many different styles, essentially, but all flows together in a great continuity. So as the narrator states, as up until now, without any opponents outside of life or death battles that could take Tatsumaki on, the battle with Saitama was fun. A lot of these smiles that she's had during this whole little mini arc in a battle with Saitama is because she's actually kind of excited. I think what that means to me is she acknowledges how strong Saitama is indirectly. She would never say that to his face, but she can definitely tell that, hey, this is a guy that can take a beating and I can go all out on and not really have to worry about too much. You'd imagine it'd be the same thing with Saitama, for example, if he, in his battle with Garo, that actually could have been fun for Saitama if Genos and all the other heroes hadn't died already. She had assumed that such an opponent was only possible in Blast, but this weird man is, and you see her sweating and veins popping out of her head, and she's like, I gotta end this quickly, because she's running out of psychic power, essentially, stamina. Breathtaking shot after breathtaking shot here. She does this tsunami wave of rocks. This is not water, this is rocks. So Tatsumaki is trying to encapsulate Saitama underneath all of this rubble. What's the Naruto move Gaara does? He makes the sand pyramid. Similar sort of stuff here. Now, as she throws all of this whole surrounding area on top of Saitama, he seems to just be running directly through it, which stuns and shocks Tatsumaki. And we finally see he threw a punch to just blow away her attack, effortlessly unharmed. And it's at this point that Tatsumaki lands on the ground And now she starts to get nervous because Saitama still, after all of this attacks and battle that's been going on, is not phased even remotely. And this wasn't even a real punch. I mean, he just blew away her strongest attack with a punch. Imagine if he hit her with that punch. I think she's starting to come to grips with that idea. Saitama says, "You're already staggering, don't over push yourself," and that obviously pisses her off quite a bit, so she zaps him again with her psychic power, which is, what she did before. She actually is able to lift him off the ground this time. So if you remember, last time she was just making his muscles twitch, now she's using her full power, and I guess she's trying to, fling him out into space or something like that. She's freaking out and sweating because she's like, he's so heavy, I'm using enough force to blow him out of space, and she can barely just lift him. I'm curious for any of the experts in the comments, if any of you would be able to figure out from this exactly how much Saitama weighs. If you could figure out something else that Tatsumaki lifted, how much that weighs, perhaps one of you geniuses could come up with an equation that figures out Saitama's weight. I'd actually like to know, but it's gotta be more than a mountain, if you think about it. I mean, Tatsumaki has lifted cities, so Saitama's gotta be, I don't know, the weight of the moon. So as she's struggling here with all of her power, something like, she has like an aneurysm or something, like something clicks in her head, and she's really struggling. Saitama says, "Don't look so grumpy, it's not like I'm your enemy or anything." And obviously she's extremely frustrated. She doesn't lose to anyone except Blast. Tatsumaki replying, "Shut up, I have no interest in getting friendly with you." And Saitama burns her so badly here. I just cracked up when I read this. He says, "Like I said, you view human relationships too lightly. I mean, you're being stopped right now by the power of Fubuki's mere acquaintance." And this drives her crazy because she just went on that whole spiel about how weak Fubuki's acquaintances are, at least the Blizzard crew. He's just rubbing salt in her wound right now, pretty much, and I love it. So we get some great backstory here on Tatsumaki and the Tsukuyomi, the God Clan, the corrupt Esper criminals that hijack, Esper kids and, torture them or turn them into Tsukuyomi. Tatsumaki remembers Blast because she sees Blast in Saitama being someone that's actually above her. The first image we get is of Blast saying, "Protect your family," and as we know, that's like the end of their interaction. So after Blast rescued Tatsumaki from the Tsukuyomi facility, the research facility, we get to see a toddler Fubuki, and a 10-year-old Tatsumaki comes and flies in through the window, coming to rescue Fubuki. And here we get to see a bunch of Tsukuyomis, and these all look like the Tsukuyomi that Tatsumaki fought just a few chapters ago. So they all take a similar appearance, it seems like. They all appear behind Tatsumaki, and she literally just vaporizes them like Tetsuo from Akira. Murdering 4 people in front of her baby sister. And this triggers something in Fubuki, understandably, and she activates her psychic powers for the first time, blowing Tatsumaki away. That was the awakening of Fubuki's powers. But Tats did rescue her little sister, and from that point on, she never gave up on her little sister. Thinking to herself, she says, "I was the one who dragged Fubuki to a harsh fate. I have the responsibility to protect Fubuki without relying on anyone else." And she remembers Blast kind of just walking away, to which she chased him down and said, "Don't leave me." I mean, she's very lonely. We get a ton of character development for Tatsumaki in this chapter. If she's one of your favorite characters, I'm sure you absolutely love this one, because we're finding out the source of her emotions and her attitude. The narrator says the only adult who set Tatsumaki free was Blast. She has excessive expectations of Blast. "I'm sure Blast will respect me after I've gotten strong. I'm sure he'll teach me a better way to lead my life." But every time she confronted Blast, it appears, she says, "I've tried really hard, but nothing works out. I don't want everyone to be afraid of me, but unless they are, things will be just like before." I guess this is after she was rescued from the research facility, although it looks like she's kind of in the same hospital garments or whatever. And I guess she just met up with Blast again. This may be a different time that she met up with him, and she's trying to tell him, she's listening to his advice to not expect anyone to save her, so she has to get really strong. And she's saying, I don't want everyone to be afraid of me, but like the only way I can get to the point which you you stated, is if I get so strong that everyone's afraid of me, right? So she says, Blast, what should I do? And as he turns, and I don't even know why they're shading out his face. I mean, I do like the imagery here and everything. Blast is my favorite character in One Punch Man, easily. And then Flashy Flash. And, well, I mean, Saitama obviously is up there too. But, I mean, we know what Blast looks like. So I guess this is just, you know, imagery to depict the memory that Tatsumaki has, I guess. But he turns into like this flash of light, and she gets blinded by it. And then we see what's blinding her, and it's Saitama's bald head. Murata, why you gotta do me like that, man? It's like this. I'm trying to recreate the shot from the manga panel. Tatsumaki finally tuckered herself out, and she just straight up passed out at this point. She's trained so hard on Saitama that she passed out. And I love this little picture here of Saitama crouching over her tiny little body. Look how, I swear, she gets smaller every chapter. Like, she looks like she's 3 years old there. You know what I mean? Saitama's saying, you all right? Are you done? I was trying to keep your rampage to where no one was around, but I couldn't really contain you. I don't know what kind of training is done for your psychic powers, but you must train really hard. You're very impressive. And Tatsumaki just kind of like hunches over contemplating life at this point because she finally met her match and she doesn't really understand what this means for her future. Because Blast told her, and she's lived her entire life by this creed, don't expect someone to come save you. And now she just met Saitama, who could save her? And Saitama drops a bomb on her right here, which I think really shocks her to the core and actually changes her. And he says, Esper or whatever, you can live your life as you like, but if you want to rampage, don't break other people's stuff. I think you'd be a great hero if you just abide by that. And we get this adorable picture here of Saitama patting Tatsumaki on the top of the head as she looks up to him. So there's a lot of symbolism here and symmetry between Blast and Saitama, although obviously they're not, you know, the same character. A lot of people thought maybe they were before Blast was revealed and everything. But I think what this is trying to show us is that to Tatsumaki, it's gonna soften her core. She's gonna kind of come to terms with several things here. For one being, now there's two people stronger than her out there. Somebody may save her if she gets into trouble, and she could actually be liked if she just stopped going on rampages destroying everyone's stuff, especially Saitama's house. So we should see some major changes in her character in the future, but probably not too much yet. I think it'll take her like an adjustment period, but this could all lead up to some major, you know, character arc sort of thing in the future for her. But that's when Fubuki shows up, and I was like, when I saw this, I was like, oh damn, like I think they're about to fight, but probably not. And here's the interesting thing. Fubuki says, I left my members behind, big sis. You know, I finally listened to you and got rid of all these weaklings behind me because I need to just fight for myself. But as she's telling this to Tatsumaki, she just had the revelation that the creed she's lived her life by may not be 100% of the truth. Fubuki saying, just as you said, my perception was naive. I will also fight alone just like you. Because Fubuki wants to get stronger as well. But Tatsumaki's like, yeah, it's a nice attitude, but your groupies over there don't fully understand it yet. And we get some crazy sadistic looks out of Tatsumaki. She really hates that Blizzard group. The Blizzard group desperately wants to stick with Fubuki. I mean, I would too. I wouldn't leave her side either, man. But as Tatsumaki gets ready to blow them away, Fubuki actually ends up doing it first. And so she kind of has this like little revelation that like, you know, these guys, maybe they're weak, but they're so determined. So what are you gonna do if you can't even fend off my own power? You better stand up and get stronger. And so she's like basically training them right now, like blowing them away. And she's really trying to, you know, get them to, I guess, learn resistance, the psychic power, or whatever, just get stronger in general. Really love this shot here of Saitama next to Tatsumaki. And Saitama's like, why don't you just let them have it? It's not the end of the world if they follow her around like a sad puppy. Like, you just learned at the same time that maybe bonds are important and you don't have to live your life alone as a wretched, angry old hag. Saitama's saying, I couldn't even beat a wolf level before I started muscle training. They're weak right now, but no one can tell what their limit is. And so Saitama's like, you know, just let them follow around, like let them train. As long as they're dedicated and they're not, you know, cowards, maybe they'll get strong enough to help her out one day. And I mean, I guess, I don't think they will. Saitama will take care of any threats, but... And this panel's hilarious. Tatsumaki's had enough, and she just sucks in her sister. Like, get over here. That's enough. Let's get out of here. I came here to deal with psychos, but I overused too much energy on unnecessary things. I'll let you guys off the hook for today on this Baldy's request, but... And Saitama's like, don't touch me. Get off my bald head. I love having my head rubbed, man. Are you kidding me? If anything happens to Fubuki, I will never forgive you. Keep that in your minds. And that power from her looks terrifying. Another absolutely awesome picture here of Tatsumaki standing next to Saitama. Just the shading composition of this page alone, just so good. And she's trying to like save face. She's saying, Saitama, you know, this test still isn't over yet. When I feel like it, I'll give you another surprise test, so be grateful. And Saitama says, yeah, F that. With a hilarious face. Fubuki can't believe that Tatsumaki is actually listening to Saitama, saying that for Big Sis to care about someone else's opinion, who on earth is that Baldy? And yeah, so now, you know, there's two people she'll listen to, Saitama and Blast. Saitama says, see ya, don't rampage anymore. Don't destroy my house. Something happens at the end here. I'm not really sure. Like, this guy told Fubuki something and she's like, huh? So I'm not 100% sure what that's about, but I guess we'll find out in the next chapter. Very happy that this little mini arc is done. I was hoping we'd see Tatsumaki versus Fubuki. That would have been pretty exciting. We still may get that in the future. But yeah, now that this arc is done, we're going to be diving into some new mini arcs throughout this season. I guess this will be like technically, you know, season 3 or whatever, the third arc of One Punch Man. So I'll make some videos, but we'll probably get introduced to the Neo heroes soon. And there's some other little mini arcs that happen, My Mask and the ninjas and other things coming up, which are really exciting. But overall, I love this chapter. I love the character progression. I just think that this whole fight could have been like 2 chapters instead of like 5. It's whatever. People really enjoyed this. I've seen from Twitter and the One Punch Man Reddit, people love Tatsumaki, like they love her. So they just, I mean, there's a big fan base for lollies out there, I'll tell you that much. So I'm sure a lot of fans appreciated this. What's gonna happen next in One Punch Man? Let's find out in 2 weeks. Thanks for stopping by today, and I'll see you guys on the next one.